really know why? You want to know why they're doing this and they're having the balls to do this? It's because we're too passive about this. We still running up in these stores that are telling us we're not good enough. We don't take things serious anymore. We let all this shit roll off our backs like it's not gonna affect us. How you gonna give your money to tell somebody you not good enough? You gonna actually pay them to tell you ain't shit? That's the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life.
If you are a person of color, or a person of color, or are an ally, you might want to listen up to this.
To give context, already had an issue with Black franchisee and owners coming to them about a discriminatory lawsuit of how McDonald's treats their Black-owned franchisees, right? And I think this was back in like 2020, 2021, around the protests. You know, the time period everyone got on board with the DEI. But this speaks to a greater issue. We talk all the time about how we have to build our own, how we have to create our own, money and generational wealth, et cetera, et cetera. We can't get there unless sometimes we align with bigger companies to give us those contracts or give us space to actively compete with other companies to create that capital. And I know before y'all say, well, we shouldn't be relying on those companies, we don't have the capital, though, to amplify ourselves ahead because statistically wise, we don't have enough money to do those things, to really amplify.
So I'm going to jump in here because what I want to say is persons of color spend more money, particularly Black persons of color in the United States, spend more money than any other group around the world. We spend a lot of money. Not saying that we make a lot of money, but what we do make, we're spending it. We have a lot of spending power that we don't use. I personally decided to stop purchasing from this here company listed there. I stopped purchasing from them when I saw how they treat locals in Africa and other places around the world where they don't allow the locals into the McDonald's restaurants. Now, you can argue that they're franchisees. However, if you're a franchise, you're pretty much operating with, you're also operating with that company's backing. If that franchise is doing something against McDonald's policies or procedures or whatever, I'm sure that they can lose some portion of that, of that backing, basically. I'm not sure about all of the logistics there, but I believe that I just felt passionate about not patronizing this company in particular, because when I've heard how, and I saw how the other companies, the franchises in other parts of the world, say for instance, like Africa, they don't allow for example, the franchise may have been purchased by an owner with China, for example. Well, that Chinese franchise owner will not allow the locals to patronize their business. They will not allow them inside of that business at all. At all. They don't allow them inside the business at all. It kind of reminded me of, old like 1950s, where, yes, we'll accept your money, but you can't come in here kind of thing. Yeah, something like that. And I felt like that's just wrong. That's just wrong treatment. And I felt like if McDonald's is allowing that, because the way I was looking at it, McDonald's themselves is allowing that. So if that is the case, they're allowing that kind of treatment, then I refuse to patronize them. I have not patronized them in years because of that. Now I'm one person. I'm only one person. And as one person, I have really no power. McDonald's doesn't know me from hear from Adam. They have no idea who I am, why I'm protesting against, buying anything from them. They have no idea. Prior to that, I did spend a pretty good amount of there because, I have a child and children. That's children's restaurant, right? You call it restaurant. That's where children go to eat, to play, to live, kind of thing. So I've spent a good enough amount of money there. When I decided, that I was no longer doing that, once again, it's just me. I don't really have much of a channel here in life. I don't have, hundreds of dozens of friends or anything like that. So, again, me, just one, boycotting, no big deal. I feel, unfortunately, that us as a whole, and I speak for persons of color, being brown, black, red, yellow, green, all of us persons of color and allies. I feel that if we all used our purchasing power, if we used that, we would have more power in regards to what kind of programs get cut, what kind of programs get enacted, what kind of laws, we want, drawn up, those kinds of things enforced. There are a lot of laws that are on the books that just no one enforces, right? And it's sad to say that, but it's true. No one enforces it. We as the community, we as voters, we don't make a big deal out of it, so they're not going to. If we don't make a big deal out of it, we don't fuss about it, they're not going to enforce it. We as persons of the communities, we as voters have to use our powers to get persons in power to do what we want them to do. If, for example, we'll just use some random companies like, let's just say, Falpart. If we chose to all not patronize Falpart, then that company would have to make some changes, right? When the George Floyd incident happened and everyone woke up, let's just say, everyone woke up and decided, we want to be an ally. We want to, we are standing in, we stand in agreement, we stand in allegiance with, or whatever, because at that time they were concerned that everyone was going to boycott these companies and these businesses, that persons of color and allies were going to collectively join together against them. And they didn't want that. The biggest force in the world is money, period. And it's sad to say that. It's bigger than human life. It's bigger than ethics and morals and a conscience It's bigger than all of that, because all of those things people compromised. People have sold their own parents, literally, in America to get money so they can go do illicit things. It's happened. Money, unfortunately, my mom used to say, this world is ruled by the devil. And what do they say? Money is evil. Money is at the root of all evil. It kind of puts some things into perspective. And not saying that I am advocating evil, but when in Rome, right? We have to work to make money so that we can live here. We have to purchase things so that we can live here. We need to be more conscientious. We need to be more purposeful with how and where, for what, for why we spend our money. And I would even go so far as to say, if you're able, be more purposeful with who you accept your money from. If you know that the company is not people-centric, if you know that they are moralless, classless, or whatever, why work for them? It's got to be more. It's got to be at some point for us more than about the check. It's got to be more than that. Because if it's not, then they'll continue to exploit us as purchasers. They'll continue to just discard us, because at this point we're so individualistic. We don't care. It's me and mine, and I gotta go get for me and mine. And we've become a lot like that. It's all about me. It's all about mine. And there is no sense of community or collective goals or objectives anymore. We don't do anything as a community. We don't move as a community or consider the betterment of our communities anymore. I hear a lot of these younger people outside of my generation that complain about how my generation and the previous generation, because I think everybody else before that is probably passed on. But my generation and, for example, the Generation X, baby boomers, pretty much everyone else outside of before that is gone. But I hear complaints that a lot of the state that our Black and brown communities are in today is our fault. We dropped the ball. And while there were some balls dropped, a lot of what's going on with our communities today has nothing to do with us, because we moved more as a group. We cared about our communities. We cared about our people. We cared about our women and children. We cared about our babies. We didn't go around doing a lot of the senseless and amoral things that are happening now. We didn't have school, pew-pewings and a lot of the mass schmurderings that are happening now across the countries. We didn't have that. We didn't do that. Where is LULAC? Where is the Black Panther Party? The new Black Panther Party? Where are y'all? Where is Islam? The Nation of Islam, where are you? Where? Because I don't see you. I don't hear you. I don't. Our community, as a generation, for example, my generation, we marched and we did a lot of things that we tried. We really tried. We did a lot. We went through a lot and we are tired. It's your turn. When are you going to pick up the torch? Or are you just going to keep passing it by for the next person? I'm not picking that up. I don't know where it's been. Let somebody else pick it up. That's where you guys are now. And ultimately, it just never gets picked up. This current generation is very individualistic and they don't care about anybody outside of themselves. I can't tell you how many times I've heard of the word narcissist in the past 5 years. It's ridiculous. And I can tell you in my generation, in my youth, I may have heard of the word twice. In my entire youth, we have got to do better. And I speak we as a whole, collective, Generation X, baby boomers still living, millennials, Generation Z, Alpha, everybody that's here, that purchases, that patronizes businesses. If you're breathing, you have power. But we all need to get on the same code. We need to do better. Because believe it or not, diversity and equity and inclusion does not just benefit Black persons. Diversity, equity, and inclusion includes all protected classes of persons, meaning persons of color, meaning persons of the LGBTQIA communities. All of those persons are included in that DEI. So now they're rolling back programs that will no longer include persons of the LGBTQIA community, persons of Black communities and brown communities, persons of Asian communities. So there'll no longer be programs that are made to include them. And honestly, if some of these businesses are not made to include you, you'll be excluded. Period. It's sad to say, but that's the truth of it. If they are not made to include you, you will be excluded.